UAE just opened a drone hub on Socotra. The island crowns the Gulf of Aden entrance, where Red Sea ships converge before the Suez. From Socotra, drones can track every cargo liner, feeding Abu Dhabi instant insight on oil shipments. That intelligence lets the Emirates shape freight rates and sway security talks without a fleet. A speck of rock now commands data that decides the price at your pump. Will drones replace warships in controlling trade? Subscribe to see tomorrow's power move first. Rizzi says Iran earned billions despite sanctions. He says the blockade forced Tehran to reroute trade through secret corridors, creating hidden profits. Nearby ports accept Iranian cargo for cash paid outside the official banking system. By evading SWIFT, Iran converts oil sales into hard currency without direct detection. That cash funds the military and cushions domestic fuel prices, so consumers notice little at the pump. Can sanctions ever truly cripple a regime that hides its earnings? Subscribe to see tomorrow's power move first. Overnight, a sea-based missile shield landed on Guam. The Navy installed the Aegis Ashore missile system on Guam's coast. It gives instant ballistic missile coverage over the western Pacific, countering recent Chinese launches. Positioning the shield near potential launch sites shrinks response time from minutes to seconds. That speed forces regional actors to weigh escalation more carefully, because any strike hits far faster. So the question is, does this tighter shield subscribe to see tomorrow's power move first? India secretly leased a deep-sea port in Djibouti. The Quiet March Pact gives India exclusive docking for 20 years. At only 150 kilometers from Bab el-Mandeb, it shortcuts the Red Sea route. This puts India on the same supply line as China's Djibouti base, alarming US planners. Cheaper Indian refuel could shift cargo lanes, trimming global fuel costs for everyday drivers. If this hidden hub reshapes shipping, will you start seeing Indian flags at your subscribe to see tomorrow's power move first? Kaliningrad hosts Russia's only Baltic submarine base. Because the exclave sits between Poland and Lithuania, it gives Moscow a permanent foothold inside NATO's eastern flank. From that strip of coast, Russia can launch cruise missiles that reach the entire Baltic Sea, turning every NATO ship into a potential target. The region also houses the Baltic's busiest rail hub, allowing rapid redeployment of armored units without crossing hostile borders. Crucially, a pipeline that runs through Kaliningrad supplies gas to the German market, meaning any disruption would spike European energy prices and pressure EU leaders. The presence of a modern air defense network there forces NATO aircraft to reroute, inflating operational costs across the alliance. In short, Russia's grip on Kaliningrad is less about the enclave itself and more about denying NATO a forward base while leveraging energy leverage. Which side of the chessboard? India's $10 billion rare earth pact with Vietnam shocked Delhi's rivals. The agreement gives New Delhi exclusive rights to mine, process, and export the minerals that power everything from smartphones to fighter jets. Vietnam's Bac-Kinh mine, already the world's largest source of dysprosium, will feed Indian factories that China currently dominates. By securing the supply chain, India can slash its reliance on Beijing for critical components, a move that reshapes the global tech balance. The deal also includes joint R&D labs, allowing India to develop its own high-performance magnets and reduce export tariffs on finished products. If China's rare earth monopoly weakens, price spikes on consumer electronics and electric vehicle batteries could ease for consumers worldwide. That shift will force Beijing to rethink its leverage over supply chain politics. Which side of the rare earth chessboard will you bet on? Strait seizures reveal hidden power moves. The US Navy recently seized an Iranian drone ship in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical choke point where a fifth of the world's oil flows. This isn't just a military action, it's a signal. The strait is 20 miles wide, a narrow passage for geopolitical power plays. The US Navy, with its 11 aircraft carriers, holds significant global influence through dominance of crucial sea lanes. Officially, this is about security. But behind the scenes, it's about maintaining control over the energy arteries that fuel economies worldwide. This directly affects the price you pay at the pump. As these tensions rise, ask yourself, how do geopolitical maneuvers shape your daily life? Subscribe to see tomorrow's power move first. The United States just threatened Iran's oil fleet. Washington is preparing a secondary sanctions regime that would bar any foreign company buying Iranian crude from the U.S. financial system, effectively cutting off the market that keeps Iran's tankers moving. The move follows a series of warnings that the next step will be the toughest sanctions yet, signaling a shift from diplomatic pressure to outright economic isolation. If the threat becomes reality, banks and insurers will refuse to service shipments, forcing buyers to seek riskier routes or abandon deals altogether. That bottleneck would shrink global supply, nudging world oil prices upward and adding a noticeable bump to the gasoline you fill up with each week. Will you notice the difference at the pump? Subscribe to see tomorrow's power move first. China's first warships docked at Russia's hidden Arctic gateway, the port of Murmansk, last week. Moscow granted the PLA Navy a month-long berth under a joint development pact, sidestepping NATO's usual icebreaker patrols. The port sits at the mouth of the Barents Sea, a choke point for Europe's energy imports and a gateway to untapped rare earth deposits beneath the tundra. By letting Chinese vessels refuel and conduct joint drills there, Russia hands Beijing a rare foothold beyond the Arctic Circle without building its own infrastructure. That foothold lets China test icebreaker technology, learn Russian logistics, and project power toward Europe's northern supply routes. For the West, the move means a new strategic axis that could reroute gas shipments and force higher insurance premiums on Arctic carriers. The payoff? The Arctic, once a quiet frontier, is now a contested stage where two great powers rehearse. Maldives will host a $10 billion Indian drone hub. India's defense research organization signed a 15-year agreement with Maldivian operator Air Maldives to build a maintenance, training and export facility on Hull Island, turning the atoll into the Indian Ocean's first dedicated unmanned aircraft center. The location matters because the Maldives sits at the crossroads of the South China Sea's southern gateway and the busy east-west shipping lanes that move two-thirds of the world's oil. By anchoring high-tech UAVs there, India can monitor Chinese naval movements, protect its own trade routes, and sell drone services to regional partners without needing a distant overseas base. The payoff: every commercial ship passing the Maldives could soon be tracked by Indian-controlled drones, reshaping security costs and insurance premiums for global trade. Which side of the drone chessboard do you think will win? Subscribe to see tomorrow's power move. Iranian Shahed swarms chased an Israeli destroyer through the Red Sea, and the world barely noticed. Those drones are not a new prototype. They are Shahed series UCAVs built in Iran and under license in Russia, already fielded by both Tehran and Moscow in Ukraine. Their loitering capability lets a single operator launch dozens of cheap, self-guided missiles that can saturate a ship's defenses, turning a modest naval escort into a high-value target. For Israel, the cost of a single destroyer runs into billions, yet a swarm of a few dozen Shaheds can force it to retreat, reroute cargo, and delay shipments of oil that keep gasoline cheap for commuters worldwide. The ripple effect is a tighter Red Sea choke point, higher freight rates, and a new calculus for any power that relies on uninterrupted maritime trade. Which side should the next convoy fear? Subscribe to see tomorrow's power move first.